In August 2014, legendary games director Hideo Kojima unveiled to the world what would become our one and only glimpse at his take on the beloved cult horror series Silent Hill. That glimpse was known as PT. In the years since, it's become something of a dark legend or urban myth. PT has spawned an entire generation of new horror games, and what's more, its revolutionary marketing campaign in general design, right alongside its big brother MGS5, has so rocked the gaming world that even now, 7 years later, scores of fanatics think they see another PT-like marketing campaign in every obscure Kojima or Kojima-related tweet. Incredible that, for such a short and sweet game, thirst for more PT seems endless, unquenchable. But what exactly was PT? And why did it matter? Let's find out. PT was born as the nondescript first project of an indie developer without a name, 7780's studio. Like the Phantom Pain, this premise was soon revealed to be a ruse.
Joaquin, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's very good to see you.
First of all, I should ask, what happened to your face? Are you okay?
Yes, I had a little accident.
Oh wow, those look like some new screens. Oh, the main character. So these are screenshots. I noticed there's a Fox Engine logo in the corner, so this game is running on the Fox Engine.
The Phantom Pain's Moby Dick Studios was really Kojima Productions, and its Phantom boss's name, Joaquin Magrin, was really an anagram for Kojima. Similarly, 7780's studio was also a front. Just explaining the name, though, will already expose us to the kind of delicious rumors and ambiguities that make PT's legend eternal, make it a sleepless phantom roaming down endless corridors of our mind.
"7780. If we assume the numbers translate into letters, that means the answer is a 4-character-long word that begins with 2 of the same character and ends with 2 different letters. So we need a word 4 letters long that has 3 letters in it. What words fit these requirements? Also, upon collecting these photo pieces, words from various languages will appear on the screen. God's Hand on GameFAQs translated them, and other players noticed another phrase in English that came up elsewhere in the game, but appeared in the same way as these phrases. Interestingly, one of the phrases can be translated to read, "I believe I heard a phone." Knowing what we do about the process of solving the final puzzle, it's clear that this indicates these phrases are the guide players should follow to finish the game. Going through most popular methods, it seems that one of the requirements to beating PT consistently is talking into your mic. And right away a name popped out, a name that means descend and refers to the Book of Enoch, where angels came down from heaven to commit the sin of mating with human women, who had children known as the Fallen Ones, a story directly paralleling the story of Lisa, her husband, and her child. That name? Jareth.
People across the world, across languages and cultures, had to work together in an escape-the-room type scenario where the key unlocked the single biggest announcement in horror, if not all of video games, for quite some time. Kojima making a Silent Hill with Norman Reedus, Junji Ito, and Guillermo del Toro? It was like the match made in heaven. Too bad it would only ever exist, much like heaven, in the myriad multicolored versions that dwell in people's minds. Then again, maybe Silent Hills could never be anything greater than that. Maybe that's what makes PT, even now, so fresh in people's hearts. even though of course we have no way of saying if there would be any connection between PT and the eventual game Silent Hills, which at the time had yet to even enter development. As a version of Silent Hill, the clearest inspiration for PT has to be Silent Hill 4, The Room. In certain sporadic sequences in Silent Hill 4, the game would return you to a first-person perspective locked inside the player character's room. And each time you returned, details about that room would change, becoming more deranged and nightmarish. PT seemingly took this kernel design idea and ran with it. Even just by PT, we can also see that Kojima was gearing up to tackle the quintessential Silent Hill topics. Topics like the mundanity of American carnage, of domestic violence and mass shootings, the rotten flavor of Americana that lingers once laced with the venom called awareness of reality. There's the 1950s-esque facade, the grimy, writhing abyss dwelling in the dark underneath. There's the monogamous, monotheistic consciousness that we see in PT presented as its surface level, and then the more we play, the pagan, demonic, even insane heart of darkness, the unconscious, dwelling right alongside. That, in a nutshell, is Silent Hill, and that's PT, yet in a new, deeply unsettling way. PT took all the necessary ingredients for a true blue Silent Hill game and stirred them in with modern technology and design trends. The general objective of the playable teaser, to figure out how to escape while dodging an overwhelming ghost enemy, Lisa, well, that goes back to the very earliest ideas of Kojima's for Intruder, aka Metal Gear. Facing overwhelming force, we have no choice but to try and escape. Again and again, the possibility presents itself that Silent Hills, or at the very least PT, was somehow connected to Metal Gear. But who, yet again, can say for sure, and say to what extent? How that escape objective, and the game's adversary of the unkillable monster Lisa, work in practice isn't so much retro as decidedly contemporary. PT here clearly draws from the genre conventions established after the classic run of Silent Hill games, established thanks to such modern classics as Amnesia or Outlast, updating the Silent Hill au revoir for a new generation without compromising either the old or the new. PT's genius was, from how it was marketed to how it was designed, it saw no distinction between websites or social media and the community of a system of feudal, medieval villages. Such an environment is ripe for rumors, legends, nightmares, and myths to flourish. Just look at more nefarious examples here, like QAnon or anti-vaxxers. Superstition and mass hysteria, they rule the day. And PT simply tapped into the conditions that were already here. By the way, that's another element to the PT mythos, its impermanence. Like the MGS5 character Revolver Ocelot would explain,
when you take a mentality and fix it in a solid shape, put it out there in the hands of people, it can only begin to decay. No mentality can last forever. When the body dies, the will dies with it.
It may be that, as hard as it is to believe, the abrupt way PT would be eventually yanked from the PlayStation Store was somehow part of Kojima's grand design. Who can say? But what makes all this 10 times more mysterious and captivating has to be the background noise that was Kojima's drama with Konami, his mother company, which was occurring at the same time of PT's release. PT was soon pulled and Silent Hills soon cancelled, to be more or less reborn as 2019's Death Stranding. Kojima's name was pulled off MGS5 for a moment. He was banned from attending public events on Konami's behalf, and he was sworn to secrecy by a team of Konami lawyers. We will likely never know the truth then of what really went on in this period, and how it affected or did not affect Silent Hills, Metal Gear Solid, and PT. This is all a major part of why PT's power feels almost frozen in time. The clock stopped by an explosion of the dividing line between reality and next-level game design. Life imitating art, that's clearly at play here, but the haunting symmetry between Kojima's game's themes and the events surrounding his exit from Konami and with them, Silent Hill, makes it impossible to separate with PT fact from fiction.
Dad was such a drag.
Take for illustration this article on 7780s by VG247. Some of the broad strokes are correct, but it's on the finer points that things get distorted, painted over. Accurately, the article states 7780s is a nod to Silent Hill, by way of a reference only understandable to the Japanese. Shizuoka Prefecture is often associated by Japanese gamers and developers with the titular series setting, Silent Hill. That's because, again as noted by the article here, the word Shizuoka literally means Silent Hill. But first, in the article, 7780 is given as that prefecture's postcode. Then the article retracts this in a subsequent update, saying 7780 actually refers to the prefecture's area, measured in meters squared. The S at the end of 7780s, we're informed, is a coded message which concealed what is in fact the true project's name, Silent Hills, plural, 7780 plus S, Silent Hill plus S. Well, which version of the 7780 explanation is true? What really matters is how many different versions of PT there are in people's minds. This is why the game has taken on an almost folkloric status. It's kept alive in all the rumors, the multiple conflicting bits of information and reportage, without the need for one single written definitive word on the subject. Not in spite of, but because of, this lack of an objective answer. PT survives, and this is where my tinfoil hat self sees MGS5 coming into possible play, the way that the Shinto belief system does, orally, secondhand. PT was created to be the first of its kind, a sort of social media puzzle. Not only was the idea new of a playable teaser, but the way PT got gradually solved and the true title that it concealed, Silent Hills, exposed, was a revolution of its own. But what really seems to have stuck with the generation of indie horror developers and players in PT's wake is not Lisa so much as the game's haunting use of color, shadow, and light. There's also, of course, the creepy baby. There's a certain temperature to that L-shaped hallway that we return to again and again, a temperature or color that we also see dramatically oscillate over the playable teaser, from amber to then red, blue, yellow, white, and complete darkness. The first-person flashlight beam darting over cockroaches, expired medicine, and old food wrappers. It's become such a staple image in our collective imagination to the point that PT's influence has become, the more time passes, all but subliminal. I saw a few people, for example, commenting on the obviousness of PT's direct influence on the recent Resident Evil Village and its giant fetus sequence, which, as it was bound to, went viral. I can't tell you how many versions and knockoffs and remakes of PT that I've seen proliferating year after year, and even if almost none of these PT clones are worth the non-paper they aren't printed on, the game's influence clearly continues to resonate. We may never get Silent Hills, but we'll always, it seems, have PT, or at least versions of PT, memories of it, phantoms of Kojima's lost classic. They'll continue to haunt the medium for as long as its story remains told. This has only been one version of it.